Hello, welcome to my website. This is test one in file and database. And here we have the first HTML page. As you can see, we have a nice welcome with a smiley face and it's pink. And we have, please enter your first and last name with your phone number and email address into the form to be put into our customer data file. And as you can see, we have our customer data form in this table. And we're first going to display that none of the fields can be blank. So it's not going to submit this data, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to do some tests just to show the error message from whenever it gives. So we're testing first name first, submitted blank. So we're going to try this again. We're going to do this one next. Now you can see last name. We're going to try again. Now we're trying phone number. Phone number blank. Now let's do the last one of email. And again, none of this will be submitted to the data form because the fields are not correct. So they all work. Now what we will be showing is that the maximum length of last name and first name is 20 characters. So I'm just gonna do, I guess I'll just count it out. So I'll do 21 characters here because it's greater than 20. Okay. Pretty sure that's 20 characters. I really hope it was. But yeah, we'll see. I think my counting was correct. If not, we'll just redo it. Okay. All right. All right, perfect. It was 21 characters. Shows the error message for first name cannot exceed 20 characters. Please try again. So now we're gonna try this one. I should have just copied and pasted my last time whenever I wrote this. $21. All right. Now let's see. Last name cannot exceed 20 characters. All right. The next thing we're going to show is that the first and last name should only be made up of alphabetical characters. So we'll also show the code, but we're just going to show this testing here. We're going to put my name into this. Error input for the first name. Please return to the first page and try again. This was the error message for numerical or anything that was not just the alphabet into first and last name. That was just a general error message. But now we'll do, for the last name, we'll do, I don't know. I'm just gonna put some random stuff. Okay. Error input for the last name. Please return to the first name and try again. So as you can see, you can't do alphabetical characters. I'll show the code later on, but oh, I should also do this. We'll do stuff like this and see. I've actually never tried to put two errors at once. It's probably only going to catch the first one with how my code is working, but let's see. And whatever. Yeah, I just said the first name. Okay. But yeah, as you can see, it would probably reject both of them. To do that, just whenever we go to the code, I could show you exactly. Well, actually, I'll just show it right now. So here you can see that the requirements it checks for first name is if it's empty, it'll throw this error message and hyperlink to the first page. And if it doesn't only have alphabetical, like just letters, then it would have this error to please try again. And if it's over this certain number of characters, then it would be too many characters into please try again. So you can see that those are all the requirements pretty much, and it's pretty much the same exact code for last name, but just switching last name. So now what we're going to try to look at is let me pull up where I was reading it off of. All right, we're going to do the maximum length of email address is 30 characters. All right, so these fields don't really matter. We're just going to do an email address of 30 characters. So let's just put like a lot of these. I don't know. I'm not going to count. I'm just going to just guess. And then, I mean, this probably has to be over. I don't know. We'll do this just to add some stuff there. Email address cannot exceed 30 characters. So as you can see, we can do that. And now we're going to do phone is exactly 12 characters. So let's just do this because, okay, let's do it less than. And then we'll do like, okay, let's see what it does. Phone number input should be 12 characters. Please try again. Now let's go over 12 characters just to show. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, let's just do that. Okay. Oh, don't want to catch. Oh, we'll probably catch the other error first. All right. So as you can see, it also caught that the next thing we're going to look over is the phone number should be in the form XXX XXX XXXXX. And I just paused where the dash should be. So we'll just write down a thing of an actual customer in this form, and it'll show that it actually works just to write it in this form. So let's do, I don't know, Sheila Patrick. And then let's say her phone number is, let's just put some random digits here. Okay. Okay, let's give her Patrick Rock. Patricia. That is definitely not how you spell Patricia, but it's okay. Okay. Let's submit this, and as you can see, it's in the correct form. And we finally got an addition here. And as you can see, I did play around and add some other ones just before I did this. Now, I believe we are supposed to show the email address should be a combination of letters and numbers followed by the @ then a series of letters only, then a .com.edu. And I mean, it definitely works. I've been doing edu. I could show you on the text file. Where did I just do it? Yeah, it works with UTC, edu, gmail.com. Yeah, it works with all that good stuff. So that's pretty much already showed. So if any field has incorrect data, display an error message and a link to the HTML page. I think we pretty much just tested everything that it was, but we could just look at the code. Well, let's see. Okay. If all the fields are valid, your PHP should save the data into a file named text. Okay. I think we should just look and walk through the code now. So here's our first page, and as you can see, we named some stuff. It's called test1 HTML. We put the color pink, and then here's the heading, and then here's our little snippet. I did put a lot of citations in my code, and yeah, so here's a little table citation of how I did the table. And it was pretty straightforward, honestly. It was very similar to forms and just tables. You're just putting the form actions inside of each row, really. But as you can see, we have it linked to update info.php, and we're posting it into there. And we have the heading of fill the customer data form below, first name, and then here's the input. And we put the size 20 and all this. You probably actually didn't need to do this because we did the limitations of the characters. But whenever I first started writing this code, I was thinking that this would impact on like the maximum size somebody could write inside of the input box, but it actually doesn't matter. But yeah, so here's what I put as the names, and this is pretty self-explanatory. Then we have the submit and reset button, and I actually did not display the reset button. I'll do it right now. I'll just put some random stuff on each one just to show that it works. And wow, okay. So now let's go into talking about this, the PHP. Now, I kind of wrote this, I originally wrote it somewhere else, but then I tweaked it to make it into a big structure if else statements. And I did this for a few reasons, but the main reason was I put it into a big if else because if it's an error, I didn't want it to add the error to the file whenever it reads it and everything. And I kept on having the issue of like, even if there was a blank field, it would still add the information to the text file with it blank. So my idea on how to eliminate that was just put if all the restrictions of why it shouldn't be put into the if else statements, and then at the very end put the else statement of what you would need to do. So I also did move a lot of my variables to the top whenever I decided to do the structure, so that's why you can see all my variables are before this, and some of it might not make sense just looking at off the bat, but I did explain a lot of it and just commented it out from where they used to be before I fixed the code from that reason. And also, it used to give duplicates of whenever somebody would hit submit once if it was an error in it, and it would add it anyway. So that's why I decided to do this overall. But first of all, let's just jump right into it. We have pink again as the color, and we're going to add PHP. We create the file here, and don't mind that. I changed the file multiple times, but we just created this file. I made this file just for this presentation to show how it works now, that it's new and improved, but it was my 4th version of creating the text file. So we have all of our variables getting taken in from the other linked HTML form. And I'll explain these. I'll just explain it now, I guess. So has dash is pretty much just a way to see that it makes sure that it does indeed have this dash in the variable, and we need it for checking about if the phone number is valid. And same with this numbers only thing. For the phone number, it pretty much checks it's only numbers and has the dash. We do that in a conditional statement later on. And then we also have phone length, which is to make sure that it's 12 characters. And I found out this function by this website. I just looked up how to find the length of a string in PHP, and then this is how I got this function. And now what I did was for the empty fields thing, I check if it's null. That's the first thing it checks down the list of everything it checks. And also I have my citation for how to check if any character has it's basically the citation for if it's only alphabetical letters in the strings of first and last name is where I use it. So let's just go down the list. This is to see if it's not valid, and it says this statement, then a link to the first page. Then we have the next condition of first name where it sees if it's only alphabetical values in first name, like it won't accept it if it's anything like a letter, or exclamation point, or anything. It's only doing letters. And this is our error message. And then we also have if it exceeds 20, then we have error in the input for first name. First name cannot exceed 20 characters. And we also have this. And then this is where we start last name. As you can see, I initially declared it here, these variables, as we were going in, because I didn't want to do it like all at once, but it's fine. I ended up just doing it out like this so we could do it it all in one fell swoop of all the conditions to see if all the fields are valid. But as you can see, we do if last name is empty, blank field, then we have an error message, same methodology and idea for the first name, seeing if it's only letters. So we have that here, and it's pretty much the same exact code, just changing the variable. And then we have the same thing, checking if last name exceeds 20 characters, then we have this error message. And this is where I did a lot of the citations whenever I was working on phone number. As you can see, for the number error message code citation, where if it's only numbers, I found the is numeric function. I believe that's what this one is, on this citation. And also to see if the dash character is in phone number citation, I have this. I pretty much just Googled it and found how to see if a certain character is in a string, and that is how we use this certain one. And as you can see, I initially declared the variables here, but because we're in a very long if statement, I had to declare it all outside of it. I could have declared it inside it specifically, but I just thought it would be more efficient to do it outside of this if statement. But yeah, so then we first check if it's blank. This is saying if it doesn't have numbers only and doesn't have a dash in it, then it wouldn't be correct. So we put error in the entered phone number, please return to the first page and try again. Because if it doesn't have numbers or a dash, then it's definitely not in the correct form or anything like that. We also have if it's not exactly link 12, then we would have an error and it should be 12 characters. And now finally the email address field, if it's null, then the field was submitted blank. Here's the error message for that. Now this I have my citation for here online where I found it, and it was actually very straightforward. All this is essentially saying is that it's kind of like a filter function where it knows how to recognize a valid email address. So it's a built-in function, and we use it with our email address variable, and see if it was correctly in email, it would return true. But since we're getting an error message, if it's not a correct email, we're going to equal it to false, the condition. Then here's how we have this print statement of if it's an error. And again, here's a citation of how I got this method. And then we're just doing, again, this else if the string length is over 30 characters, then try again. And then it sends another hyperlink. So now finally we're at the scenario that all fields are allowed. The game plan here was to now write into the file and sort it to the correct amount of sorting. So essentially what I did here is I got this file and made it a variable, like the content of the file, and we're going to turn it into an array. So we're going to ignore the new lines and we're going to skip the empty lines. So we're only looking at the data here, and we are essentially going to have our new data named like the new line we're creating in itself with all of the correct fields. Since we found out they're all correct, we're putting this all there, then we're adding it to the array. And now since we've added it into the file, what we need to do now is sort it. So now we're going to use uSort, which is essentially this custom sort method where you can kind of just do it how you want to sort it. And I did this pretty simple. I actually found this really on Stack Overflow on how to do this really well. It was like in the comments how I got the idea to do it like this. But I also put citations for all the other functions so I could truly understand how it works and whatnot. But I did look at all of these while I was doing it. But essentially, we're just putting our array of all of the information in the file into this sorting custom function, and then we're doing comparison of A and B, which from my understanding while I was coding this, they're just comparing the two, like, the amount of lines in the file of each data of a customer, which is one line. So letter 1 is this what is it called? This is essentially the first letter of last name, which is the first letter in the data line. So, right here in this example, it would be L. And same for this one, for depending on what data it would be. But it'll essentially take in this, and we also have to explode it to get rid of the delimiters. And we're also getting the first letter. That's why we have it at index 0 to obtain it. But now we're just using this function to get the one that's more in alphabetical order. It's returning it in the correct order. So if letter 1 was C and letter 2 was A, it would return letter 2 first, and vice versa. If letter 1 was A and letter 2 was Z, it would return A to be in the order before 2. So that's essentially what this is. And then we just write it back into this file. And as you can see, we're using this inside here. And then we have to use this function because if you do not, it does not write it correctly. This is essentially just, we need it for the lines for using like this method. Like, I found that this is the most efficient way to print out the file in it starts a new line for each time you add one, and also it correctly recognizes where to insert it. This is really just kind of about the format of the file is why this is super important. And I did cite it somewhere to one. I think it's this one. Yes. So that's where I got this from. And this is very important. It was really hard to figure this out on how to put it into there correctly and have it in the right form. But yeah, I have a lot of comments speaking about my work and how I was thinking about it. But now I have this citation for how to read the file contents and make a table in PHP from it. Because at this point, I was kind of like, I wasn't super sure on how to approach it since it's in perfect order and I didn't really know how to read it correctly. So I did look it up on Google and I found it on Stack Overflow perfectly. And I mean, it's obviously a little bit of a different answer, but I tweaked this code. But so I have my table border. I did echo. Then I echoed making the first, last name, phone number, and email address rows. These are really the headings. And then we have a variable for file. We open it, and then we're opening back this file we just sorted, and we're reading it, and it's gonna die, which is like if it can't open the file, then it just kills this task. But yeah, that's essentially what it is, and it'll just give an error message. But we also have while this it's not the end of file is what this means, then it's going to do data, this new variable, gets this file, and then it'll pretty much just read the data on the file, but replace, here's our delimiter, and we'll put data. So it's pretty much replacing every delimiter with like the mini section of where it's supposed to go. This is essentially the tags in HTML for table. Like TR is row, but TD, I don't know how to say, it's like okay, well, I guess I wonder, can I just go back? Oh, anyway, I kind of just wanted to show the table, that's why I did this. I'll just write some information really quick. I don't know. Um, okay. Like, now what was I saying? Oh, okay. TR is really the row and TD is really just this. It's like a cell in the table. That's really the best way I would describe it. But it's replacing the delimiter in the file with the next line of data in a way, and then it closes it off, and it repeats this for every line of the file. And then we close off the table, and then we close the file, and yeah, that's really it. And then we just print the hyperlink to go back, and then we're done with PHP. Then we close off the body and then close off the HTML document. And that's really everything going on. But yeah, that is essentially everything. I don't know why. I thought I saved that, and that was weird. Anyway, so this is really it. As you can see, it's in correct alphabetical order. We could just put like a last name A just to show that it really is, but we could just play with this for a second. Let's say Layla Abby is the last name. Layla Abby. And we'll just do let's do a UTC EDU to show that it works. Okay, as you can see, Abby is in the first one since it's sorted by last name and works correctly. And yeah, that's really everything about my website. Oh, before I forget, obviously, let me show you the text file. Oh no. So as you can see, this is the current message and it perfectly displays each line. We have the phone number and the email and the first and last name in the correct order as given for the assignment. And that is my walkthrough for test 1. And I really hope you like my website. And I hope you have a great day. Thank you. Bye.